So today we're going to talk about this would be, the gates would be actually, the gates meeting that we're doing today would be, if you've ever been involved in step work, that would be like a step meeting. We don't call it steps, we call it gates, and we also don't call it, we call it
Keys, right?
we call it coaching. And so the coaching in this correlates with the book, The Gates to Recovery. So every week, yes, there's 12 of these weeks. And so I brought y'all a copy of the first week. And what I thought I'd do is we go over these weeks so that you kind of understand what you're expecting. To what your coach might be expecting. You know, what are you supposed to be getting out of this? You know, what's the deal with it? And so that's why I'm recording it, so whoever wants to have an idea of a coach, what we've actually talked about, they'll have a format for it. Okay, so this is week 1, and week 1 is reality.
So that'd be the name of this gate.
That's the name of the gate, reality. And you'll see it right up underneath there. It's the reality gate. And so there are keys. There are certain keys for each gate, keys that help you get through this. The first key is I need help. The second is I admit the problem. And 3 is I choose forgiveness. Now, in the book, there's only one key. But in your, yes, that's right. That's right. In your book, you'll probably only see one key because my editor thought that was too much. But I wanted us to have 3, so we're doing it with 3. So the first thing you'll notice that this is what you're going to be working on this week is understanding, or when you do this packet, understanding that you, first of all, you need help. One of the things that was interesting to me is I did a training, and he was a pharmacologist, psychologist in Atlanta, and he did a training, and he said over his desk was this statement, I need help. He said because that's the first thing that he wanted his people that he was talking to understand, that we all need help. So that's the first thing. It's not a put down to need help. It's not something that's bad for you to need help. Everybody needs help. Absolutely. All right, and then admitting the problem. What is the problem? Now,
That's what we need help with.
well, exactly. So sometimes we don't even know what the problem is in the first, but we want to stay in reality. And so when I coach or when I'm talking to you guys, I want to know what your problem is for today. Yes, overall, we do need to know that we're in recovery for alcoholism and drug addiction, but you might not be ready for that, but you do have some kind of a problem. So what we want to do is, what is that problem today?
I just found out I'm a narcissist.
Okay, all right. So you find out from education that you're going through and these are things that you didn't even know you didn't even know it. And a lot of times that's what we want to do. So this is a key, just if you're not ready to, because some people think, oh, I got to admit I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, I'm the worst person in the world, whatever. No, what do you have a problem with that you need help with today? And maybe it's not some big personality problem or some terrible thing, but what do you need help with? So that's the key. All through the week, you're going to be looking for things. What do I need help with? And instead of doing it myself, I'll do it myself. Say, can you help me? That's where we start. And in reality, like if you need help with opening the refrigerator door, you got your arms full, then you, instead of saying, oh, I got it, somebody even offers help. How many of us do that? So we're learning in reality that we need help. And I'm not even talking about big things. I'm talking about just little things. And then choosing forgiveness. The way we get to the big things that we have to forgive is to learn to choose little, tiny things that we forgive every day. That's how you get a forgiving heart, okay? Because we don't recognize that we're holding a lot of stuff that we don't even really want to hold, but we're holding it. So in this week, we're choosing forgiveness. For example, I don't know, what would be something that would be easy to forgive, because sometimes it's really hard to forgive the easy things. Okay, for me, I had to learn how to forgive interruptions in my class. So I just began to choose to forgive, because you see people, even though we say, I try to train people, do not, unless it's an emergency. Here comes Mr. Terry. No, Mr. Terry is, and he doesn't think anything about it. So if I was mad all the time and held a bitterness toward him interrupting me, see how that would influence my day. So I just start there with those little things that I don't want to carry. Little things. I don't want you to feel like you've got to come in and build this huge forgiveness thing in your whole world, because you will learn, you will be praying about forgiveness this week in this packet, but you will also be learning that you need to start with the small things first. Your memory verse is, behold my afflictions and my pain, and forgive all my sins. So every one of us, when we first come in, we have pain, don't we? We got problems. And I need my sins forgiven, okay? I mean, I don't know who you are, just because we all have fallen short. And I like to teach this about what sin is and what this sin is talking about. It's missing the mark. You might have heard that before, but it's missing the mark. It's like hitting a bullseye. The perfect life would be able to shoot an arrow and hit that bullseye right in the middle and be perfect. That would be a perfect life. But anything outside of that perfect life is missing the mark. Okay? And the further away from that bullseye, the more we miss the mark. Okay, and how far? How do you think? So we all need forgiveness of that, and just missing the mark. I'm not talking about, we say, well, I'll need to make a list of all my sins, or I'm sorry I sinned and all that. Yeah, that's good. But right now, just understand that we're all equal and that we have all missed the mark. Would you agree with that? You think this is the perfect will for your life that you've gone through? Probably not. We've messed up somewhere. So we agree. So we need God to forgive us for missing our mark. All right. And then the action steps this week is just to set us bedtime and a morning get-up time. Physically rest is important, especially in this is a reality. It's not something that's a fantasy. And going to bed at about the same time and getting up at the same time sets your body into a rhythm that you want to get into, so you can be able to do it. Because remember, you're not getting a little help from a friend anymore. So we have to teach our body to be able to fully engage in all the life we want to without that help from the friend. All right, so part of that is, and the other step is to determine to get an hour of sunlight every day. Here's how you get sleep. Your body's designed to get sleep through melatonin. How you build melatonin is in the daylight, in the sunlight. So you find a sunny window, get on the porch, sit in the backyard, go out and take a walk in the morning, so that you get at least an hour of sunlight, natural sunlight, every day. And that begins to teach your body to build melatonin. Well, how you release melatonin is by the end of the day, you stay up, it gets to be about 7 o'clock, 6 or 7 o'clock, and you start turning down the lights. You go into a room that's darker, and your body starts adjusting to that, and you get really sleepy. And so that's how you get that into that rhythm of building natural sleep. So that's your first steps. These are action steps. And then write in your journal and begin a daily devotional time. So find a time. These are your steps. And so your coach should be asking you, are you having a daily devotional time? Tell me about a daily devotion you had. When you go in to meet your coach, they should be saying, well, how did you do with your bedtime? How are you doing with your sunlight? And you can keep a record. I did have little slips that we could keep records and say, well, I got 7 days this week of sunlight, or I got 3. I didn't do so good on getting my sunlight. I didn't get to bed on time this week. And I can tell it in the way I feel and how I respond, okay? All right, so here's your questions. This is the questions. What have you learned about your addiction? So you, not what I've told you. Does that make sense? What are you learning about your own addiction? And that's very personal. It could be one word or it could be a page. It could be nothing. It has to be an honest answer, That's all we're looking for. And when you talk with your coach, again, they're going to ask you these questions and talk to you about them. What have you learned that you need to change? Maybe you think you don't need it to change. Honest answers. What are you working toward that's going to be different in your life to come? All right. What have you learned about other people this week? Because you know we have to know about other people too. And all of this, if you'll notice, is going to work toward getting us into what reality is. Because your coach is going to make sure that when you answer, those are in a reality. It's not cognitive distortion, like you would say. You know, but I've learned about others that Kathy Sweat is the worst person in the world. She never does anything right. I can't stand her. Well, first of all, those words, worst person in the world, how do you know that? I would ask that. I said, well, how would you know that she is the worst? Have you met everybody? See, bringing us into reality. So you want to stay. So she might not be a person I like. Kathy Sweat might not be a person I like. But we are learning to stay in reality. And then what have you learned about God? And for some people, again, these are answers, honest answers. Okay?
So we need to complete this every week?
Yes, you're going to get a packet every week, and we're going to go over the packets to talk about them to see if you have any questions about how to do them. Okay, tell me how your stinking thinking affects daily activities. That's another question that you're going to answer. So, because you might have a week, this week you might not have any stinking thinking. Well, you might say, I don't. But most of us do have occasional stinking thinking. Well, see, here's what we want to do with not only cognitive impairment, but we want to be able to see the consequences. Okay? All right? So if I think that I hate it here, or I hate everything about life, what it is first of all, you'd have to determine if that's stinking thinking. And then what kind of effect did that have on my daily activities? We're trying to make you think so that you can tell yourself how my thinking affects my relationships and what I'm doing. Okay, if I hate it here, just use that as an example. If I tell myself every day, I hate it here, I can't stand it here, I don't want to be here, I blah, 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 like you said, I love that, because that's what we do, then how's it showing up in my activities? How's it showing up? And you're the only one we know, because we watch y'all, but you also have to know. It doesn't matter what I know about you. Do you understand that? It doesn't matter if I think that you have this quote-unquote diagnosis. It doesn't matter, because until you know about you, there's no change going to happen. So that's why we're asking you these things. All right? And then tell me about your feelings. Feelings are things that people do not really know how to talk about. They just don't know how. You know, they have reactions to feelings. But if I say, how are you today? What you going to say? Tell me what you'll say.
For me, I'm pretty good.
Yeah. What'd you say? Okay. That's what she's going to say. I'm okay. And then I have to say, Samala, what's really going on? That's right. And you should have a feeling wheel, or you'll get one.
This thing is awesome.
If you don't. And then if you're having these basic feelings and you don't have, and you don't know how to describe them, you have to have feeling language. Okay, so you just have to develop that, because most of us never had feeling language. Okay, and then what can you give to God today? That's a question. What can you give to Him? You know, maybe you're
A little more time.
Oh yeah. So those would be things that you'd answer. So now the next, and again, while you're doing these things, is very important. Draw a picture of what your family of origin looks like. Now, this is the family you grew up with, because people ask me, well, what if I didn't grow up with my birth family? Well, you draw it according to what it looks like. You know, whatever your thoughts are. It can be stick men, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be an artist. Huh? Yeah, you do, exactly. And then it says, how would you change your family of origin? Well, that's probably exactly right. And then that's going to be open for a conversation. Your coach is going to say, well, tell me about your family of origin. Tell me about this picture. Your coach is going to say that, hopefully.
So, I mean, So we're not just drawing how many people are in our family, we're drawing, what are we drawing?
You're drawing your people, but when she looks at that, she's gonna say, well, tell me. And we'll say your mother.
I did my family tree when I did it.
Yeah, well,
for my life.
okay. And then your coach might say, well, tell me something about your mom, if your mom's in your
Oh,
picture.
okay.
Or tell me something about your dad. Or what about these siblings? You know, because all of that helps form us. And then when you draw out, how would you change your family of origin? How would you change them? You know, what would make them better or worse? But hopefully you'd want to make them better, because most of the times does that make sense? Okay. And then I would say, if I was coaching you, I'd say, well, what would make you want to change them like that?
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
You see, the whole point of the coaching is not for me to do all the talking. Well, I'm teaching you now, but if I was coaching you, you'd be talking to me. I wouldn't be talking too much. I'd be asking you questions, probing, helping you probe, not me probing you, because that's not, just getting you to talk about the things that are inside of you. Okay? All right. Well, that's how you're going to get better, hopefully. Okay, so now this is your first assessment here, and so you're going to say, why are you at Bethesda Recovery? What did you come for? And be honest. You might be here because you court ordered, or you mama ordered, or you know, whatever. And what do you want to receive from your recovery coaching time with me? So you're going to be telling now. So that's why I'm going over this with you, so you can think about, what do you want out of coaching? What do you want from that recovery coaching? Okay, and I don't know. So how do you feel about finding God while you're in recovery? You know, do you feel, you know, maybe that's, I already know the Lord, and so, you know, that's your answers.
I found them, I was gonna get to know them better.
Okay, well then that's what I would put there, you see. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least important, 10 being the most important, how important is a lifetime of sobriety to you?
I want it.
You know, so that, and listen, you know, it might be, you have to be honest, it might be a 10 for you, it might be a 2 for you. You understand?
That look.
No, I don't know. I'm just using that as an example, because we want to be honest, because the scale is the determination as to where we're going. You know, I don't have very far to go if I'm already at 10. You know, we're going to find you see what I'm saying? I'm going to have to coach you on, because we're looking for what you need help with to move into this recovery situation. All right, so what are you willing specifically to do to get recovery for the next 90 days? And what are you willing? Are you willing to, whatever, I don't know. You'll have to think about this. That's why these are to be done with thought, because impulsively writing down an answer, because I'm your coach, I'm going to say, you say, well, I'm just going to quit drugs. And I'm going to say, really? Well, you know, that would be good, because, you know, if you don't quit drugs here, you're going to be in jail, okay? Because I'm going to call your probation officer. So I'm going to be probing you to give me some deep answers, something to get. And what's the purpose of that? For you to know yourself, okay? All right, what are you willing to give up to be sober for the next 90 days? So these are questions. How important is prayer to you on a scale of 1 to 10? How important is that?
Very important.
You know, so you want to, you say whatever it is unto you, not what you, and I'm not you. I want you to understand this. It's not what you think the coach wants to hear. This is not about the coach. This coaching is about you and where you are. If you say prayer is about a 5, well, that's okay. It's your, you know, if prayer's a 9, that's great. But if I was your coach, I would say, well, what makes it a 5? You see? We're getting this so we can have a conversation when you come in to talk to your coach. And you're going to be, she's going to be, or yeah, you're going to only have female coaches, but she's going to ask you so that you begin to know why you're saying what you're saying.
It's like for self-awareness.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, what are you willing to do this week to change your mind about addiction?
This pamphlet.
Yeah, okay, that's right. What would you be willing to do, set up private prayer time? Would you be willing to set up private prayer time for God? And if you say, no, I'm not doing that, I don't want to do that, it's okay. I'm just saying, I want you to understand the point of the coaching is not for you to be perfect. The point of the coaching is to find out where we are in reality, honestly, and move it from there, okay? Hopefully, we're going to move up the scale instead of down the scale. Okay, so what are some of the things you need to think about to change your mind? And pick one area to work on this week and write it below. So one thing, not 10 things. Okay, one thing. Maybe it is a prayer time, whatever. Okay, and then suggestions for homework. And so journal prayers on at least 3 days a week, or give your life wheel for homework to be discussed in the next section. I don't know if the life wheel is in here or not, may or may not. So that will be something that you're gonna get homework.
We don't have to, do we have to discuss that, our prayer, journal?
No. Only if you want to talk about your journal. But what I would do, if that was my homework and she said journal 3 prayers a week, then I would bring my journal. She doesn't have to read them, but she has to see them.
Right.
You see, it's accountability for your homework, okay? All right, so then the CAGE alcohol assessments, you just do that, you just answer those questions. It's a very simple question, because a lot of times, again, to keep us in reality, we want to know that there's something that tells us that we do have a disease, okay? And this usually will help us, okay?
Why do you not drink that much?
Well, what about your illegal drugs? Have you ever felt that you should cut down on your drinking? You know.
Oh, no, well, I'm talking about cage alcohol assessment.
Yeah, so down at the assessment for the drug addiction, have you ever used an illegal drug more than once?
No.
Right. Have you ever been arrested?
No.
Have you ever asked for have you ever been asked by a family member or close friend to stop using? And were you recommended for drug treatment by a professional? You see?
Not a professional, they're about judge, but not a drug.
A judge is pretty professional.
Professional, I'm just saying, they
Oh,
don't
you-
know you, and they don't know that side
Yeah,
of it.
that's right. Okay, well, you
That's
get,
where I have a real problem.
yeah, with judges?
Well, I mean, I've been like, no.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
Especially my judge, he's awesome.
Oh,
I know him personally, but, not personally like that, but.
Right.
I know him pretty well. But having someone who doesn't know you, that's where wasn't I just telling you that the other day?
Are you talking about somebody in the medical field?
I'm talking about somebody who doesn't, because this is a personal thing for everybody as an individual. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Okay, well, I can see your point there.
I've been working on these steps by myself for a long time. So
Yeah,
working on them.
right,
As
yeah,
far as, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know what I'm getting at. But yeah, they don't know you. They have to know you and where you've been and where you.
Well, recommendations from a professional, let me just say this. Professionals have certain criteria. Those 3 top questions are the ones that usually a professional uses to determine if you need treatment, whether it's inpatient or outpatient. And the level of use, because illegal drugs, when we cross over to illegal, or more than what we should be drinking, then we probably do have a problem. But that's a professional opinion. Now, I can understand, to get help, we want a more personal approach. That's why I prefer the coach,
Right.
because the coach is going to share with you some of their problems. They're going to share with you some of their life issues. The coach is going to talk to you about some of the things that they've gone through in their life to share with you. They might not have gone through the exact same thing you have, but it's not going to be like a counselor who's going to sit there and give you advice or education. This is going to be more about what you're saying than what the coach. That's what it should be anyway.
Right.
That's why we're going through this, so I can put this out there for my coaches so that they also know how to do it in the right way. All right, so from this day forward, you're going to learn how to do SMART goals, which is on this, and the SMART goal stands for simple or specific. Keep your goals simple and focused rather than words and vague. Be very specific about the outcome you want. Okay, so simple goal, a simple task would be, I'm going on a diet and I'm going to do away with sugar. It's simply spoken, but not simply done, that's right. But you know what the idea is, okay, if I'm gonna not eat sugar, then that's very specific. If I say I'm just going on a diet, then I could do anything I want to and call it a diet. So I have to be more specific. So any goal that you're setting has to be specific. All right, it has to be measurable. You're not going to complete it if it's not measurable. So how would you know when your goal has been reached? What will be different? So if we use diet and I'm using I'm doing without sugar, then I'm going to know that I'm losing pounds. That's going to be very measurable, okay? Or my blood sugar is going to be down. See, that's very measurable, okay? I'm just using that as an example. It has to be attractive. Does this goal inspire you? Do you want to do it, in other words? You can't do goals and any of your goals that you want to, you might be like it, for you, Caroline, you might want to say this goal this week I'm going to make a picture and I'm going to finish an artist thing. So that would be attractive to you.
Yeah.
The goal has to be attractive. It can't be my goal set for you because it won't work. Okay, all right. And then it has to be realistic, the goal must be achievable. It has to be something that you can actually do. So that's very important. And it has to be timed. State your goal as if it's already been achieved. This trains the unconscious mind to accept the goal as real, which helps you to move more effectively toward it. Know when your goal will be realized. And how will you know that you've realized that you're finished your project? You'll have something to show for whatever your goal has been. Okay, so one good example would be the GED thing that we set with, or helped set with Stephanie, okay, because she did it. She had a time slot to go ahead and take her test. She finished that and completed it, and now on Sunday she's going to have a diploma that she's going to hold, and she's going to have a ceremony. So there's got to be something to show for it, and it has to be in a set time. So you want to do that, set your goals for week one. What are you going to do? It's not my goal, it's your goal, learning how to set goals. And then your coach is going to hold you to it. He's going to talk to you about it. All right, so this is about your shape or your assessment to serve, and I just put this packet in here, and it's just got some little questions for you to ask. What's the shape? Shape stands for spiritual gifts, your heart, your abilities, your personality, and your experiences. And all of those combined are how you find out where you're best suited to serve. And when I say best suited to serve, that might be your service in the community, or it might be your job. It's going to tell you more about your personality. So, and we have a spiritual gifts test. I think some of y'all have already taken that, but you just take that test, a spiritual test, and if you have any questions about that, and then you're going to talk to your coach about your spiritual gifts. So, who's had spiritual gifts tests? Okay, what's your spiritual gift?
Leadership, aesthetic.
Okay. Prophetic.
Okay, I can't say the word. Administration.
I can see that, yes.
Encouragement.
Yes, I can see that.
Faith.
Yeah, that's good.
Leadership. And prophecy.
Good, awesome.
Seems like there's another one.
And so your spiritual gifts are going to help you recognize your own personality, what God's already given to you, and what you like. All right. The next part is about your heart, and the questions that will tell you what your heart. What would you do for God if you knew you couldn't fail? That's a big question. What would you do if you knew you just wouldn't fail? That would be what pushes you to action. You know, what motivates you? What moves you so deeply that keeps you awake at night? And those are the things that are going to expose your heart. Who are the people that you most want to help? Who do you feel that you can influence the most? Is there an age range that you feel most drawn to? Is there an affinity group I feel most drawn to? Do you like talk, like some people like to talk to ladies, some people love children, some people like old people, some people like to do, classes. Those are things that are going to expose your heart because they're in you and they're unique to you. What are the needs I feel most drawn to? What are the 2 top needs I love to meet for people? And why do I love meeting those needs? Okay. What cause am I most passionate about? What cause or issues makes your heart race? I mean, if somebody starts talking about it, you start getting passionate. That's what you want to know. You're finding out about yourself. And where could I make the greatest impact for God? And again, these are without fear of failure. Okay. All right, then the next part of it is experience. And so each one of us has personal experiences that we bring to the table. They're unique to you. They're yours. And so take a moment to think about these different experiences and how they've impacted your life. Okay, what spiritual experiences have you had? And I'm not talking necessarily religious. I'm talking about when you knew there was a God and that He was caring for you. And that could be in a church or not in a church, but it's spiritual. Spiritual means that we're in tune with something bigger than ourselves. All right. What painful experiences have you had? Just think about these. What kind of problems have you had? What kind of hurts have you had? And not to go into, reliving them, but just what kind. Maybe you were hurt as a child. Maybe I was hurt as an adult. Maybe I was with a man that abused me or whatever. Those are painful experiences. And then what kind of educational experiences? What were your favorite subject in school? What did you like to do when you were in school? That's a big deal. All right? And then ministry experience. Where have you served in the past? Now, ministry means service. So what do you do? What would you like to do to help people? Like she says her gift's leadership. So we know that if you're going to probably rise to the top in leadership because that's your gift. But where do you like to lead? What kind of groups do you like to lead? What kind of committees would you want to be on? Those kind of helps you. What have you done in the past that exposes that? Service for other people. Okay. And then it says record any experiences that stand out. So you just write them down. What are the things that stand out to you? Because that's forming your shape.
Is it absolutely, do we have to finish this in a week?
I have never really known anybody to finish it in a week,
I
but
think it's important if you really want some real answers.
so when you meet with your coach,
I'm gonna need some time.
that's what you're going to tell them.
takes time.
It does take
One
time.
week. The packets that I was talking
in
about.
and trying to figure out something to fill in
Absolutely.
the blanks, and I
Yes.
want to do that.
You can't do it.
You
in a day.
can't.
I want
and
to
you-
make it work.
That's
You know what I'm
exactly
saying?
right. So
So-
if I met with
This is
you,
the packets that you ask me all the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
I'm
these
not
are my
gonna just
leadership
scream at
packets.
okay,
It
yeah.
takes time to work
So
on them.
And I
because-
might be thinking about something, next week and be like, oh,
That's why you work on, she'll get to it, but on the very back of it, this page,
yeah.
every time you work on your packet, you put your date down and what you did on it.
Okay,
Because
good.
you
So
won't be able to do
one packet,
it.
I'm not gonna be slammed with another one.
well,
You do a packet a week.
you have a year to be here, right?
Right, that's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
you have 12 packets.
Right.
Okay, so hopefully you're not, we used to have to do it in 12 weeks, but we don't do that. We don't, because I tell people and I'm telling the coaches now, that what we want to do
Because we're
is
getting
I want you to get who you are. I want this coaching
Right.
experience to
You
be,
can't do that in a week.
No.
This right here is something a lot to think about.
it certainly is. And when you come in to talk with your coach, listen, I've had coaching sessions that I didn't get off the first page with because we had a conversation. I don't want it to be just you're going over the material.
Right.
And some people now will do that, but hopefully you're going to be digging. And sometimes people go through these 2 or 3 times. If they went through it bam, bam, bam the first time, I'll give them another coach and they'll go through it again.
Right.
So because it's important, to me, this is the crux of our program. This is what our program is about.
Right.
here. So this is more important than, and all of these things are working together. Your anger management works with this. Your identity class with the search for significance, it works with this. It's all working together so that by the end of your stay here, you should know who you are and basically what you'd like to do with the rest of your life. That's the hope, okay? And maybe you don't, because everybody doesn't get it, but it's designed for that, okay? And so that's what we want to do. Okay, so these pages are mixed up right now, but anyway, so some of the career goals, like this, and this is going to take time. What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life? We all got time. I mean, I think me and Carolyn are the oldest here, but we still got plenty of life. What do I want to do? What do I want to start my own business? Do I want to work for somebody? What do I want to do? And we start looking at this. What kind of finance? What kind of finances do you want? You said you wanted to be independent. Well, you have to think about this. It just don't happen. Okay, do I want to have?
I've been there. Like I said, I've been there before.
You
I
knew
want that back.
Okay, well then that should be a goal for you. You see, so you have whatever your wage was. You want to what do you want to make? Do you want to go in at minimum wage at that's what you. But if you don't listen to me. If you don't set up these goals, if you don't think about them, you won't do them. You just won't do them because you wake up one day and you'll say, my whole life has passed by and I have not completed one thing that I wanted to do with my life. And so,
Back to my old job.
yeah, what was your old job?
I built respiratory concentrators. I worked in biomedical.
Wow.
Building what she uses to breathe.
Yeah, I see that.
Chart industry.
Yeah,
Making $15-25 an hour. I lived there.
yeah,
That's what I'd like to go back to.
yeah. Well, and there's you want at least to have enough, and that would be enough to take care of yourself. You want to put that in there. What kind of friends do you want? You have to think about these things. You can't just say, okay, what kind of goals do I want with my family? I just want them to love me. Well, that's not really a goal. Because they already love you, they just don't have nothing to do with
Didn't
you.
Einstein say if you can imagine it, then it can be about, if you
Yes.
can imagine it and you can envision it, then it's a possibility, and then it can be.
That's right. That's exactly right. So all of these are just, again, they're things, and it is going to take a little while for you to go through it, and it is going to take a little while for you to think about it, because I want you to think about it. That's why I'm doing these introductions to them. So now, when you get it, or if you've already done it, say you did it and you rushed through it. Well, there's nothing saying that you can't get another packet, and let's do this thing again, and let's talk
This
to
will be
them.
the second time that I'm doing this packet.
Yeah, let's look at it again and see and say, wait a minute. Well, say your coach is Sarah. You say, Sarah, I really need to talk about this stuff, because I realize the importance of it. She'll stop and say, because it's all about you. It's what do you want to do? Okay, and then these are some words that are in here.
You have Miss Lisa as a life coach, I think she's really good.
Yeah, she's good too. And like I say, they will. Lisa Murphy's gonna. That's why she wanted me to do this with y'all today, because she wants to be reminded as her coach what she's supposed to be doing with you to know how to work it. Okay, this next one's about your personality. And there's a little personality test in here, and it's just a very small little personality test. And you find out about what your best ways are, and it's just an idea, but it's so amazing how these really start coming together. Oh, well, that's the kind of person I am. I didn't even know that about myself, but that's right, because I like that. Do you like to play it by ear? How organized are you? Do you prefer objects that have variety? Do you prefer to leave my options open? So, and it's really fun if you're doing these packets, if you get stuck, to say, hey, you know me, what do you think I am?
Especially when it gives you an option of like 3 different words.
Yeah.
And you have to choose one of the 3, and you don't want to choose out of those 3, because like all 3 of them probably pertain to you, or like none of them could ever be you, but you have to choose, and you're like, that's either really cool or it's really disturbing.
Yeah. And
So you have to choose one. It makes you really think about it.
That's right.
And
And
you're
you-
like, okay, that's really cool. Or,
And
okay,
sometimes
Really
I've asked people to take the test for me. I've asked people to take
Oh,
my
really?
personality test for me that are really, they know me. And to see, yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool to do that. And then, because it's like feedback, because we're not used to having what we call constructive criticism, I call feedback. And I need some feedback. What do you, man, I think I'm like this, but I need to know what you think I am. And so if we can see if it matches, you know, because it's fun to look at that, just to,
What people see.
yeah, exactly.
So we can let somebody else do this test for us?
Well, you can if you're having trouble, or you do it yourself, and then you ask somebody else to do it with you, and say, hey, so we can see how, because this is all, yeah, this is all about you. It's all about seeing who you are and knowing who you are. Okay, and then this building discrepancy. This is one of my favorite things in here, because this is how. Right here is way over. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get through. Okay, so building discrepancy
Okay, so-
is how will your life change as you choose to either continue or quit using drugs or alcohol? And this is building your discrepancy. This is finding out what this is called. I call it judging my life, putting it on the scales. How am I going to do it? This is how we make a decision about everything in our life to get a rational decision. What's going to change? All right, so if in my career, my school and professional life, if I can continue using, and you just write down there what will happen. If you went to school and you continued using, what would happen? If you got a job and you continued using, what would happen? Yeah, but if I quit using, and be specific. Be very specific with yourself. Don't give yourself a chance to weasel out of it. If I quit using, what will be there? And then the same thing with my relationships. If I keep using, write it down. And it's in black and white. You can see it. And you have decided which one's better. And you can look at it and you say, well, I decided, then I wrote it all down, and I decided I just don't want to quit. Even though I know that if I quit, you get a choice. It's not my choice for you, it's your choice. And when you build this in and you look at it, how will my long-term goals be affected? All those that you sat down and said, if I want to get that job that makes me be able to take care of myself. If I keep using, how will that affect that? If I, you see, this is what you want to see. You want to get it in black and white where you can't argue with yourself. And that's what helps us change. That's what gives us the umption when we want to quit, to say, wait a minute, how will my health be affected if I keep on using? What's going to happen? I work so hard to get everything in order, but if I leave out of here and I go back to using, what's that going to do for my health? You see? So that's why we want you to be very specific about that. All right, and then, let's see, this is my recovery goal, and you're going to be saying, what are your recovery goals? Each week, you'll be asked to make goals for your recovery. And your coach should be asking you every week, what's your goal for recovery this week? And it should be more specific than not using. If we stay, it could be there, because listen, if you're struggling, in the very early days, I just can't, I'm going to just do everything I can to just stay here. That's a goal. That's fine. But next week and 4 months from now, it should not be that. Those goals should be increasing to different things so that your recovery is becoming real.
What about not using chocolate?
Okay, right. But very specific. And then, listen, if 4 months down here you've had a hellacious week, it's been terrible. You've been triggered on every account. And all you can say for this week, my personal recovery goal is just to stick it out. That is okay. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because you're honest about your recovery.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the most important thing you could do, is be honest with yourself. And that's what...
Gotta make it through that day.
Absolutely. And if you can make it through today, that's good. Because a week is a long time, because a lot of things can happen in a week.
Especially you're struggling day by day.
Exactly. But you want to be able to recognize it and set goals that I'm not, hopefully, we're not going to be struggling. I tell people all the time, in recovery, you're going to have a lot of bad days to begin with. They're going to be just terrible. And, you know, some people don't, but most people do have some bad days. And then you're gonna get a good day, and you're gonna be really glad that, and it might have been for you in detox, because those are pretty rough. But the first good day, you're gonna say, man, and then you're gonna have a few more days that are not so great, okay? And then you're gonna get 2 days in a row that's really good. This is realistic in recovery. And then you're gonna get a week, and man, you're gonna, by the time, because it just works that way. And hopefully it won't, hopefully that your desire to be in recovery is gonna be perfect, and you're not gonna have any problems, and you're not gonna be, you know, triggered, and you're not gonna wanna leave, and your boyfriend's not coming to get you, all of those things, because you're gonna have those issues that are coming. But you have to be able to be honest, and that's what I tell you. If you're having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. Well, then everybody else around you understands. We're not trying to make you have a worse day. We're just saying, hey, how can I help you stay? If you want help to stay, or if you want help to get through that trigger, you just have to ask. And that's what this whole week is about, being in reality, understanding we all need help. Okay? And then we got some mini goals. Notice there's a lot of goal setting in this. And so usually many small goals or objectives must be met to achieve a more important goal. And so your main goal, okay, so I'm having a bad week, we'll just use that. I'm having a bad week, so my main goal is to stay here. What would be one mini goal in there? You have to ask yourself, what could I do? Maybe I could go to bed earlier, or maybe I could watch some TV and drown my, to get my mind off my problems. What can I do? That's a mini goal to help you stay. Does that make sense? You have to learn how to break down those large goals. Like you have a large goal of wanting to be back working in a good job. So in order to get there, I've got to break that down into small mini goals. And I have to know that I'm achieving those goals in order to make it. Because one day I'm going to have it. But I got to do something every day to get there. Small, attainable goals. Baby steps, that's right. And to celebrate my accomplishing those baby steps. If all I can do is say, I'm still here, celebrate that because you've done something that's helped you. Do you see what I'm saying? Learn to celebrate. Not to condemn yourself because you're not further along. Forget about that. We're where we're at, and we're happy where we're at, and we're moving to that next place. Okay. All right, y'all
Well, you
going
can
to
only do so much. You
Absolutely.
can't go nowhere.
That's right. Exactly.
There's only so much that,
Yeah, that's exactly right. But in order,
you can't, like, I don't know, kind of feel like, I don't know.
yeah.
One thing about goals, I was thinking, look, I'm here, and I like it here.
Sure.
But there's certain. I feel like I don't want to say held back, but I'm kind of. I feel like my life is on pause. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It's because of the disease. The disease pauses you, not recovery.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No. I got you. I think I got you.
I'm saying that I can't do anything outside. Like I can't. This is not. In order to live normally, there's certain things that I need to do. I need to do to reach certain goals, or that cannot take place here. They have to happen outside of here.
So you're pausing and rewinding.
Do you know what I mean? You get what I'm saying?
I'd say those.
I'm not saying this is holding me back. No, this is helping me get to know myself better.
Right.
Absolutely. But there's things that I know, but things that my hands are tied in certain ways because those things I can't do unless I'm outside of here. Like,
I do.
Well, I don't.
what do you mean?
That's what I had a fit in over at church the other day.
I know.
That's why I'm having a mid-recovery crisis over.